The Dhuta virtue in Buddhism, 13 special methods of practice. The Dhuta virtue is one of the prominent methods of practice in Buddhism, offering many benefits to practitioners. Developed during the time of the Buddha, this practice not only helps practitioners cultivate their body and mind but also plays a crucial role in achieving enlightenment. In this article, we will delve into the 13 special methods of practice within the Dhuta virtue, along with the meanings and benefits they provide. 1. Dhuta virtue in Buddhism. Dhuta, in Sanskrit and Pali, is written as Dhuta, which originally means to shake off the dust of defilements. It can also be read as Dudu, Duda, Dauda, Vauda, etc. The meaning translates to renouncing attachment to three things: clothing, food, and shelter, in order to cultivate the body and mind. This is also referred to as the Dhuta virtue, the practice of Dhuta, or Dhuta merits, Dhuta gua. The origin of the Dhuta practice. The Dhuta practice is one of the ascetic methods for cultivating body and mind, aimed at eliminating worldly defilements. During the time of the Buddha, many of his disciples attained enlightenment by practicing the 13 Dhuta virtues. Among them was the Venerable Mahakassapa, the foremost ascetic saint in the Buddhist community. Although practicing Dhuta can be arduous, it greatly supports practitioners in their journey toward liberation. Furthermore, if there are sincere practitioners of the Dhuta virtues, the Buddha's teachings will endure in the world for a long time, benefiting all sentient beings. The method of Dhuta practice originates from the Buddha Siddhartha Gautama, who, upon realizing the four truths of human existence, birth, aging, sickness, and death, courageously renounced all worldly comforts to don the robes of a practitioner. He undertook all kinds of ascetic practices prevalent at the time, subjecting his body to pain, exposure to the sun and dew, and fasting. He subjected himself to extreme asceticism to the point of emaciation, with sunken eyes, yet he did not achieve enlightenment. Instead, he only experienced fatigue. Ultimately, he recognized that extreme asceticism was not beneficial. He then returned to practice the middle way, nurturing his body to be healthy enough to engage in the Dharma, avoiding both excessive asceticism and excessive indulgence. Subsequently, he attained supreme enlightenment through this middle way practice. From then on, the Buddha guided the monastic community in practicing the Dhuta virtues, praising this method of practice. The Dhuta practice in Buddhism consists of 13 methods for cultivating the body and mind. 1. Wearing the rags. This means that if a practitioner vows to follow this Dhuta method, they must not accept robes offered by lay people. Instead, they should collect materials to make their own robes. 2. 3 robes. There are 3 robes designated for monks, alms mendicants. If a mendicant uses only these 3 robes, they are practicing this Dhuta. The 3 robes consist of the outer robe, an upper garment, and a lower garment, also known as the upper robe, middle robe, and lower robe. Throughout their lifetime, a mendicant has these 3 robes and, when they become worn out, they should patch them until they can no longer be repaired, at which point a new robe may be acquired. The only possessions for a practitioner are the 3 robes and an alms bowl. 3. Going for alms. The Dhuta practice of going for alms means that one must carry a bowl and go out to collect food without waiting for lay people to invite them to their homes for offerings. This practice offers many benefits. It frees the mind from burdens, reduces afflictions, eliminates pride and arrogance, cultivates patience in the face of criticism, and especially creates the opportunity to connect with others and spread the Buddha's teachings. 4. Alms from every house. This means that if a mendicant practices this Dhuta, they must not skip any houses. They should go from one house to another without neglecting any, treating all households equally regardless of wealth or the quality of food offered. 5. Eating once a day. After going for alms, a mendicant only sits down to eat once a day. Once they stand up, they do not eat again, even if someone comes to offer more food. 6. Eating from the alms bowl. A mendicant only eats the food collected in their alms bowl. 7. Not storing food. Once a mendicant has eaten, any leftover food or additional offerings must not be saved for the next day. Therefore, they only take enough for one meal. 8. Living in the forest. The forest is a precious resource and a valuable asset for practitioners. It is also a quiet and peaceful place, ideal for meditation and cultivating the mind, away from desires. Additionally, practicing in the forest helps the practitioner eliminate all impurities in the mind and overcome fears of snakes, insects, storms, and strong winds. 9. Staying under a tree. Practitioners meditate under a tree. However, after 3 nights, they must move to another location to avoid attachment to a comfortable sleeping spot. 10. Practicing outdoors. A mendicant practicing the Dhuta must meditate outdoors regardless of whether it is sunny, rainy, or stormy, without seeking shelter. If any distractions or emotions arise, they must be purified to maintain a tranquil mind. 11. Staying in a graveyard. A mendicant may stay in a graveyard to confront their fears and face the spirits. 12. Resting anywhere. This means that a practitioner of the Dhuta is very adaptable and does not demand a specific place to rest. Their sleeping place could be next to a haystack, under a tree, or near a cow shed. 13. Not lying down to sleep. This is a very challenging practice, as practitioners only rest by sitting in positions such as cross-legged, walking, or standing, but must not lie down on the ground to sleep. Purpose of the Head Dharma practice. The purpose of the Head Dharma practice is to cultivate the body and mind, eliminating suffering and afflictions. The Buddha taught that the Head Dharma fulfills the 3 realms, humans, deities, and nirvana as one wishes. The Head Dharma continually nourishes and protects sentient beings, serving as a field of merit for both deities and humans. If the monks practice the Head Dharma, the Dharma will endure in this world, and the fruits of stream enterer, once returner, non-returner, and arahant will manifest. When Prince Siddhartha, who later became the Buddha Shakyamuni, passed through the 4 city gates and saw the 4 truths of life, birth, aging, sickness, and death, he became enlightened and courageously resolved to abandon the jeweled palace, beautiful wife, and beloved child, discarding the royal robe of a prince to don the robe of a monk, and began his journey in search of a teacher to learn the path. At that time, it was believed that one had to endure great hardship to attain enlightenment. Thus, he spent 5 years seeking a teacher and 6 years in austere practice in the forest, trying all methods of asceticism, bodily mortification, exposure to sun and dew, eating only a single bean or sesame seed per day, and sometimes fasting, to the point of emaciation and near death. At that moment, he realized that extreme asceticism was not beneficial and abandoned this extreme path, returning to practice the middle way, which nourished the body sufficiently to engage in the Dharma. Ultimately, he attained enlightenment through this middle way practice. From then on, the Buddha guided the monastic community to practice the 13 head Dharma virtues. 1. Wearing patched robes. This refers to robes made from scraps of fabric that are discarded, obtained from graveyards, hospitals, the streets, or forests, which are then washed and sewn into robes. The practitioner does not accept offerings of robes from donors but collects these scraps, thus not being dependent on donors. 2. Wearing only 3 robes. A monk practicing the head Dharma has only 3 robes, the upper robe, middle robe, and lower robe. Monks use these robes until they are torn, and they may only sew new ones when there is no fabric left to patch. 3. Begging for food to survive. In this practice, monks carry bowls to beg for food to sustain themselves. They do not wait for donors to invite them but must go out to collect alms. 4. Begging in order. This means going from house to house, not choosing wealthy households while neglecting the poor, and not going to places with abundant food but begging in order. 5. Eating only once. When eating, if a monk stands up, he does not eat again, even if someone offers more food. 6. Eating from a bowl. 7. Not saving food. A practitioner does not save leftover food, or food offered by donors, for the next day. 8. Living in the forest. 9. Staying under a tree. 10. Being outdoors. 11. Living in a cemetery. 12. Resting anywhere. Monks practicing the head Dharma do not choose their resting places but adapt to rest in a haystack, under a tree, etc. 13. Sleeping sitting up, not lying down. This is a difficult practice, as the practitioner only sleeps in a seated position or in meditation, without lying down on the ground. Benefits of the practice of Dhuta. Practicing the 13 Dhuta practices brings significant benefits to practitioners, specifically as follows. These 28 superior virtues include maintaining a pure livelihood, living happily and peacefully, not committing sins, reducing the suffering of others, being fearless, causing no harm to anyone, being diligent on the path of evolution, avoiding boastfulness and delusion, self-discipline, being loved by others, self-educating, letting go of conflicts, practicing restraint, correct practice, achieving tranquility, escaping from suffering, renouncing attachment, anger, and delusion, eliminating ego clinging, overcoming negative thoughts, surpassing doubt, laziness, longing, training in patience, boundless generosity, and eliminating suffering. Additionally, even if one has not yet attained the aforementioned 28 virtues, practitioners can still achieve 18 other virtues such as pure conduct, protecting body, speech, and mind, maintaining a pure heart, continuous diligence, overcoming fear, ego views, resentments, being steadfast in compassion, knowing contentment with food, loving equitably, moderation, mindfulness, non-attachment, finding peace everywhere, disliking evil, loving tranquility, and not easily giving up. The Dhuta practices give rise to many good qualities. The 13 Dhuta practices are likened to earth, water, fire, wind, medicine, and the elixir of life, with the ability to nurture good qualities, cleanse impurities, burn away afflictions, blow away worldly desires, heal mental ailments, and bring about immortality. Moreover, the Dhuta practices help to perfect one's character, fostering love, purity, complete virtue, a noble mindset, alleviating sorrow, and preventing rebirth in the cycle of existence. Because of these significant benefits, even King Buddha Tran Nan Tong practiced the 13 Dhuta practices immediately upon ordination. The practice of Dhuta helps control the mind, limit attachment to material possessions, and easily recognize unwholesome desires. Practicing the Dhuta is not easy. It requires practitioners to possess many spiritual and physical qualities. Strong faith, a firm belief in the Dharma, is the foundation for overcoming challenges and difficulties during practice. Sense of shame, feeling shame for one's wrongdoings, is a motivation for change and self-improvement. Good health, a healthy body is essential for enduring the rigorous Dhuta practices. Skill in seeking truth, the ability to discern right from wrong, good from bad, and always strive for the truth is crucial to avoid losing one's way in practice. Enthusiasm and maturity, passion and maturity help practitioners maintain diligence and not lose heart in the face of difficulties. Wisdom aids in understanding the teachings, analyzing, and applying them in real life. Desire to learn and knowledge, a desire for learning and accumulating knowledge helps practitioners gain a deeper understanding of the Dharma and apply it in practice. Steadfastness in practice, being resolute and unwavering in the face of temptations and challenges, is a key factor for success in practice. Minimizing criticism of others, instead of focusing on the faults of others, practitioners should concentrate on self-improvement. Abiding in a compassionate heart, a compassionate heart is the foundation of all good actions, helping practitioners treat everyone and everything with kindness. This shows that achievements in the present are not the result of a single lifetime but rather the accumulation and training over many lifetimes. The differences between the 13 Dhuta practices and other practices in Buddhism. 1. Definition and objectives. Dhuta practices. Definition. These are ascetic methods aimed at renouncing attachment to material possessions and desires, helping to purify the mind. Objective. To free oneself from suffering, develop wisdom and compassion, and cultivate mental strength. Other practices. Definition. There are various methods of practice in Buddhism, such as meditation, chanting, generosity, and mindfulness. Objective. Depending on the practice, it may seek peace, develop wisdom, or achieve enlightenment. 2. Methods of practice. Dhuta practices. Specific and rigorous practices such as wearing tattered clothes, going for alms, living in the forest, and sleeping while sitting. Focused on renouncing material comforts and facing austerity. Other practices can be more flexible, such as meditation, which can be practiced in various locations without requiring extreme austerity. Chanting and mindfulness are often performed in more comfortable settings, without necessarily renouncing all comforts. 3. Nature and experience. Dhuta practices. Characterized by austerity and requiring high levels of patience, often making practitioners feel challenged but also helping them develop strength. Provides a clear sense of sacrifice and determination in the practice. Other practices can be more comfortable and offer immediate feelings of peace, such as meditation and mindfulness. Creates space for relaxation and tranquility without the need to endure austerity. 4. Results and benefits. Dhuta practices results in a noticeable purification of the mind and development of patience and self-reliance. Often leads to profound changes in character and perception of life. Other practices may offer quick benefits in stress reduction and the search for peace. Focus on developing wisdom and compassion, but may not require as much sacrifice as the Dhuta practices. 5. Target practitioners. Dhuta practices suitable for those deeply committed to seeking enlightenment and unafraid of austerity. Usually practiced by monks or individuals with considerable experience in spiritual practice. Other practices can be applied to everyone, from beginners to those with experience. Suitable for those seeking peace in daily life without the need for austerity. The differences between the 13 Dhuta practices and other practices in Buddhism lie in their nature, methods of practice, and objectives. Each practice has its own value and is suitable for individuals based on their needs and life circumstances. While the Dhuta practices provide profound austerity and purification, other practices may help practitioners seek peace and develop spiritually in a more comfortable manner. Dhuta practices and their suitability for lay people. The Dhuta practice is a special method of cultivation in Buddhism, typically practiced by monastics. However, applying the principles of this practice to daily life can bring many benefits to lay people. Below are some analyses regarding the suitability of Dhuta practices for those living ordinary lives. 1. Spirit of renunciation. Practicing renunciation of material attachments helps lay people recognize the value of what they have and reduce pressure in their lives. Instead of focusing on accumulating wealth, they can find joy in simpler and more meaningful things. Lay people can practice this by reducing consumption, living more simply, and focusing on important matters such as family, friends, and health. 2. Mental training. Methods such as meditation and mindfulness can be applied in daily life, helping lay people reduce stress and improve mental health. Practicing values like compassion and humility can help them build better relationships with others. Lay people can take time to meditate and practice mindfulness in their work and daily activities to enhance their mood and focus. 3. Austerity and sacrifice. While the austerity of Dhuta practices may not fully align with the lives of lay people, accepting difficulties and challenges in life can help them develop patience and mental strength. Lay people can learn to face hardships positively, viewing them as opportunities for growth and learning. 4. Balance between life and practice. Applying some principles of Dhuta practices can help lay people create a balance between work, family, and personal time. They can take time to practice principles such as slowing down, reducing greed, and seeking peace in their daily lives. Although Dhuta practices are primarily meant for monks and those who have renounced worldly life, the principles and values can certainly be applied to the everyday lives of lay people. By practicing renunciation, mental training, accepting difficulties, and creating balance, lay people can find peace and happiness in their lives. Applying these values not only improves the quality of life but also promotes spiritual and personal development,